Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It's fantastic to have you here. Today, I'm going to be speaking a little bit quieter. Recently, I went to the hospital and I let a doctor go hammer and tongs on me. Long story short, I'm 3/4 less smart, lost 3 wisdom teeth to save ripping out the stitches that are holding my face together right now from the inside. It's going to be a little bit of a quieter episode, so thank you for being here. It's a pleasure as always, and make sure to go to alecsteelshop.com and grab yourself one of these fantastic 1 million subscriber t-shirts. Let's get right into it. Ow! Damn, I smiled. So the Viking sword that we're working on is going to need some really nice embellishment, and I recently did a bronze inlay in the falchion that we made. Doing that inlay got me excited to want to learn a little more about jewelry techniques, engraving techniques, working with fine materials like gold and silver potentially. And what I know is that many Viking swords had precious metals inlaid into them, whether that was the silver, whether that was gold, and there were also interesting stones that were inlaid into them, and I really want to dive into this and learn some more about this. And so we're going to take today to learn about engraving a little bit more. Now you saw when we made the falchion, we made 2 little engraving tools like this out of some 01 steel. Since then I've had some more tools arrive, so we've got some examples of what different hand gravers look like. Here is a little something or other hand graver. This type of tool sits on a handle like this, and I think you generally kind of push it into the material and usually cut it down. Now what we're going to want to be doing is hammer and chisel engraving. So we're going to want to be actually hitting the gravers themselves. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to go into the grinding room and we're going to make up a few more engravers out of this material. This is silver steel. So it's got about 1% carbon, so it's a very high carbon steel, easy enough to work with. So we're going to grind some things to shape, heat treat them, and then hopefully get a little bit of practice. So I've been learning a huge amount since I first sat down here this morning while I was at those gravers were tempering, and I started sat down, but I found it quite difficult to work in that position. My elbows didn't have any clearance, I was hitting the table, and I wasn't able to get my eyes with this optivisor to the right place. I had a number 10 lens on the optivisor, I then switched it to a number 7, I then went up here, I then lifted this vise up to here, and I've been working stood up. I could do with another couple of inches of height, but I found that standing up has been one big help. While I was in hospital waiting to get my wisdom teeth pulled, I had some time and I was looking at places where I could learn to do a little bit of engraving. I found an online course by Sam Alfano about hammer and chisel engraving, and I watched through it while I was waiting to get sliced up and then afterwards. Now, as a part of the online course, I got this printout that I could use that has these different designs that you can practice to engrave. And so what I did is as follows. Right, so we're going to lock this in this vise. This is an engraver's ball vise. And the general idea is that you can rotate it around and move it around as you need fit. The annoying thing about it though is it's not super duper rigid. Now I've just engraved this design here, which is a number 4 here on the page. I'm now going to try and do a number 3. So I cut it out. I lay it face down, and this is just the coolest thing that I did not know that you could do. You can take acetone, and then you press down on the back of a printed image, and just like those little tattoos you used to get when you were a kid, you then get it transfer onto the steel. How cool is that? And so this is how I set up to make this leaf here, which I'm really surprised that I was able to make because my engravings before have been really shoddy. This scroll here had a decent bit of consistency to it, but my straight lines are still lacking, and I'm clearly too impatient to do more practice on that. Apparently I don't like swallowing my own medicine about boring practice. But that's alright, I've got an excuse. I lost 3/4 of my wisdom on Friday. So here we go, I'm going to try and cut from thin to thick. This is stunningly difficult, absolutely stunningly difficult, and one of the key things that I am learning is the connect that you need to have with the line that you're about to cut, the line that you're cutting, and where your body is, and how it is that you're swinging yourself around, how it is that you're hammering. That needs to be nicely webbed together. There can't be any disjointedness between how many hammer blows you're striking, how hard they are, and the speed at which you're moving this way. It all has to match up perfectly with the precise curve and angles you're trying to make. And you can certainly see where it is that I am failing here on this little vein right here, where there is a sudden disjointed angle. And I think that this is really good proof of my noviceness to this little craft and an expedition into engraving, that it is so disjointed. So, in order to practice consistent arc creation, consistent radii creation, and a better connection between the lines I'm trying to make and the lines that I do make, what I now want to do is I want to move on to trying to make one of Mr. Alfano's scrolls. I think that a small scroll like this is going to prove to be an extremely large challenge to try and do justice to, and of course I do quite like the sound of a little bit of a challenge. So we're going to reposition this in the vise, lay the scroll face down, put some acetone on a tissue, and stick it down. Well, it wasn't recording, but we've done the outside. Now to try and do the inside. Clearly very rough looking, extremely rough looking. I mean, really quite not very, we need to do more practice. Well, that is also absolutely not very nice. Not very nice indeed. Look how jittery and inconsistent it is. It really just looks terrible. Right, I need to practice some more curves. So let's take this here socket, make some scribe lines, and give it some more good old Scottish practice. And my face still hurts. What a fun day it has been of peacefully and relaxingly chiseling away engraving. This is clearly something that can be quite the rabbit hole to go down. I'm hoping that I can get and pick up just enough skill to add something to the Viking sword rather than take away from it. So fingers crossed that works out. Hope you've enjoyed the episode. I want to drop in and let you know that now are the last 48 hours to get yourself the 1,000,000 subscriber merchandise. We've got t-shirts, we've got sweatshirts, hoodies, we've even got posters, mugs, all that fun stuff. Right now I'm wearing one of the premium shirts, so it's got a little extra stretch in it. It's a little lighter. It's just a wonderful fit. I really like it. And of course, you'll see that we've got almost all of the projects that we made on the YouTube channel to get to 1,000,000 subscribers. Beautifully drawn out on the shirt. Got 1,000,000 written up top. Got my name and of course the touch mark at the bottom. We didn't forget the touch mark there. The website link is in the description as ever. It's at my website, alecsteelshop.com. I would be thrilled if you would grab yourself a shirt or 2 or 3. It's a fantastic way to support the channel. And of course, it's the last 48 hours to get this limited edition 1,000,000 subscriber special. It's on to the next 1,000,000 subscribers, and it's the end of today's episode. Thank you very much. I'm going to see you tomorrow, hopefully with a little bit of a better healed face. Bye-bye.